What up, everybody? Welcome back to Feral Publications YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about zines that are DIY publishing style magazines, as well as other just self-publishing type information and whatever the hell I decide to some days. My name is Rich. I have a comic book zine anthology that I publish called Feral Comics. We do pay contributors for their work, as well as a contributor's copy. Get a subscription, submit some art to the Feral Comics project. But besides that, today I want to talk about 5 o'clock in Tokyo. This is the first one. It's called Season Plus More. This comes from Craig Atkins, who does the 5 o'clock zines, 5 o'clock zine reviews. Also does Zine Inspiration with the homie Ryan from Pocket Thought Zines. As well, used to be a contributor to ZNN. But this zine right here, and I have to start off by saying I always love the way that Craig writes. I also love his super simple DIY aesthetic to his zines. This is like mad scientist shit, without a doubt. Like, it looks like he gets a Sharpie and just like colors the sides. It looks like it has tape running through it. Just this aesthetic. When I think of a zine, this is what I think of. Right? Sharpie starts to die out. Another thing that I really liked about this zine was that it's handwritten. And it's something that Craig does often with his work. He does a lot of handwritten zines in it, which always, like I tell people, just gives a more personal feel. And it also gives kind of that madman aesthetic. There's a back cover here by an artist. There goes that artist's handle. And then Craig did the cover. And I remember seeing when he was working on this on Instagram. Now, I have to admit, love the way Craig writes. This is some of my most favorite of Craig's writing. When I read something, I want it to be fodder for my mind, and I want it to get my head going and working and just thinking about shit that I would have not thought about had I not picked up the zine, the book, the magazine, whatever it is that I'm reading. This right here does such a good thing of commenting on life, on the progression of life, on kind of how you should live your life. But there's one paragraph in particular that for me is just so powerful, and this is that paragraph. There's a reason we are drawn to certain things when we begin to explore the world. These things can be unexplainable, but they take our fancy. They become our hobbies and interests, and when I think about any regrets I have, it would be dropping some of these hobbies and interests in the pursuit of growing up. I thought that was a very powerful paragraph. And going back to that point of like, that's what made me kind of reflect on like, sometimes I feel that I'm all over the place and that I have my hands in a million and one things. But for some reason, I always tell myself my guiding, star, right, has always been the pursuit of happiness. And whatever that takes, in whatever form that takes at that time, that's what guides me to do the things that I do. And I've always talked about it. Like, the minute something stops being fun for me, I would drop it. So I really dug that paragraph. And like I said, like, it really gave me a lot to think of. There's another thing that really is covered in this story. And it's one of those things that, like, honestly, a lot of the zines that are coming out right now during the COVID-19 kind of pandemic, is that you're going to get a lot of firsthand accounts of, like, what life looks like in other places, other states, other countries during the pandemic. And this was a very, very strange one. Craig talks about how his father-in-law passed away, and due to COVID-19 precautions, they had to keep the body in the house for a full-on day. And like, I can only imagine how that felt, how his kids felt. Like, that's a very strange dynamic. For me, someone here on the Western kind of like side of shit, like I'm not used to that, so I can only imagine what the whole family went through. And that's one of the things about a lot of the zines that are coming out right now, is that there are going to be a lot of first-hand accounts about people's experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is just one more to add to that. That is just, for me, is just interesting reading it from a cultural perspective to see basically how these things have occurred, and luckily I haven't lost anyone during this time, but I can only imagine, like, I'm sure people that are losing people here in the US as well have their own stories about how the pandemic has changed, the flow of people dying. Like what would normally be the route, that people take when someone passes away has been disrupted by COVID-19. And that was another thing that this zine really made me think about. And then lastly, like, you get your money's worth with the zine. I love the zine review that's added on the back. I also like where I buy my books. I thought this is a very interesting thing. And as someone who kind of hunts down books as well and goes to, as many bookstores as I can, I will say that I definitely enjoyed kind of Craig sharing with us his experiences with book shopping out there in Japan. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys, man. Once again, this is 5 o'clock in Tokyo by Craig Atkinson. I will have a link to any information that I have from the homie Craig. I do believe that he's selling this directly to people through Instagram. And I do believe the homie is open to trades. So I will have the information for you guys in the show notes. And once again, don't forget about Feral Comics, the comic book zine anthology that I published. Go ahead and get a subscription so you can get some of these bomb-ass, underground, subversive, cartoonist comics in your pad. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and let your homies know what we're doing so that we can continuously build this thing up. Lates.